Welcome to another episode of Wagstaff Explains. Today's topic, angle equations. Let's review our angle relationships. In this first diagram here, we have angle 1 and angle 2. These two angles are actually corresponding angles, which means that their angles are equal. In this diagram, we have angle 1 and angle 2, and these two angles are actually supplementary angles, which means that the sum of the two angles equals 180 degrees. In this example, we have a triangle, and these angles are considered interior angles, which means that the sum of the three angles will equal 180 degrees. So let's look at our first question. Find the measures of angles 1 and 2. So here they're giving us two equations to use to be able to solve for the angles. So looking at the relationship of the angles, these are corresponding angles, which means that these two angles are equal, which means that when we set up the equations, we are going to make this equation equal to this equation, and then we're going to solve for x. Okay, in solving for x, we're going to have to use the distributive property. We're going to have to move variables so that they're on the same side, and we're also going to have to undo our coefficients. And so in this case, x equals 8. And so we're going to use that and substitute in to solve for the measure of each angle. So here we have 11x, so it will be 11 times our solution, which was 8. And when we multiply that out in our calculator, we will get 88. So that would be 88 degrees. For the measure of angle 2, it would be 8. And then what x equaled, in this case, we're going to substitute with 8 plus 3. And then we would put this algebra in our calculator. And after we do so, we will see that the measure of angle 2 is also 88. And since these two angles were supposed to be equal, we can verify that our degrees and what we did here was correct. Let's look at another problem. Here we have to find the measure of angle 1 and angle 2, and looking at these two angles, we can see that they are supplementary angles, which means that their sums will equal 180 degrees. So then we need to take the equations that are given, we're going to add them together, and then their sums will equal 180 degrees. So now we have to solve for x. In solving for x, we will need to do distributive property. We will need to combine like terms. We will need to undo constants and coefficients, and then x will equal 12. And so then we're going to substitute that in to find the measure of each angle. So 1/3 parentheses 12, and we're going to be multiplying by x, which in this case is 12, and then add in 108. So once we do the math here, do our algebra in our calculator, we will get 84 degrees. And now for the measure of angle 2, same process. We're going to substitute in x, and in this case, again, x is 12. So once we put this algebra in our calculator, we will get 96 degrees. And we can verify that this is correct by taking the two angles measures and adding them together and making sure that we get 180 degrees. Thank you for watching an episode of Wagstaff Explains. Now you know how to solve angle equations.